All right. Welcome back to another impromptu Wednesday. Sometimes we post about these.
Did we piss off any of the Wednesday podcasters?
I don't know. Did anyone claim? Oh God, we just lost the freaking. It's all right. I'll keep talking. I don't know who has a Wednesday. Who called Wednesdays?
Nobody called Wednesdays.
Yeah. We've got with us, and I know my audio feed's jacked up, but you can see him perfectly. What are you drinking? That's brown liquor?
Well, it's sort of brown liquor. It's tequila.
Oh.
Hey, I have the same glass. Right on. Yeah, with the bullets in it.
What's the name for the tequila that's like dark colored like that?
So añejo. This one's an extra añejo. So that's what I'm drinking right now. The last of this bottle.
Okay, what tequila brand is that?
So it's Cascaween.
Cascaween. I'm really trying to get into like good tequilas.
This is one of those.
Yeah, how much is it? How much is that
bottle?
That bottle is about 105.
Oh,
okay.
Hold on, bear with me. I'm trying to get your audio feed is fine, but mine is jumping around here. That's all right. No one's in here.
Not the audio.
Sorry, our video feed is kind of staggered, but your video is fine. Yeah, no, you're good. But thank you, sir. Thank you for joining us. It's been a while. I was actually looking at our Skype history, and I didn't realize we had you on the call-in show in February of 2021. That was the last time we talked to you. Okay. Oh, we're black now. But I feel like a lot has happened.
Yeah, for sure.
Since then. So what have you been up to? Are you going to go enlist in the Ukrainian Foreign Legion?
I'm going to pass on that for right now. Yeah. I'll keep an open mind, but for right now, I'm gonna pass.
Do you know how to fly a MiG-29?
I'm sure I could figure it out. I mean, they're just giving them away right now.
I know. They could use some pilots.
All right, hold on, Mark. I gotta fix our camera. Hold on. Give me 1 second. The best was we were talking before the stream, and Andy's like, "Do you think you can fly a MiG-29?" I'm like, "I don't know. He's flown a bunch of planes." Give me 1 second. You talk.
Yeah, sorry. Within the first 5 minutes of every single live stream we do, the camera freezes, and so it's always
it's always something. Right?
It's always a huge ordeal. But then once it gets adjusted, then it's all good. But it's just like you have to restart it every single time, and it's a pain. And we haven't figured out why it's done this. We think it's corrupted software.
Yeah,
gotcha.
It's definitely bad software.
Yeah.
Does it always have to go live too?
Yeah.
Like
only live. Only live. Yeah, only live. And it's video. It's always video.
There it is.
Yeah, okay. That's better. There we go.
Oh, we lost Mark.
There you go.
Oh, wait, we lost Mark.
No, we got Mark. We got Mark.
Oh, man.
No, we got it.
There it is. All right.
All right, we're back.
Success.
Okay. Okay. All right, everybody.
Yeah.
Sorry.
So back.
All right, we're good. We're golden.
Back to the topic.
All
so
right, sorry.
you can fly a MiG-29.
Can you fly a MiG-29?
I don't think it's going to be that hard. I mean, if you can fly a plane, you can fly. I mean, that's the thing.
You're a chopper pilot, right? Or no? Were you fixed wing?
No, I was a fixed wing. Yeah.
Do you like how I slipped that flying term in there? Fixed wing.
I do. Yeah.
What? We're gonna talk about backpacking, but what did you fly? I don't know if we covered this in our last podcast.
Yeah. So I flew. I learned to fly prior to going. Well, I was in the military, but I wasn't being paid to fly. Started on a Piper Cherokee.
Oh, okay.
Flew some Cessnas. Flew a Trinidad TB-20 for a little while, and then I got my retractable gear and high performance on that, and then went and got my instrument, and then got picked up to fly for the military, for the Air Force, and learned to fly on the Tweet.
What's the the Tweet?
Yeah, it's a T-30.
T-38?
T-32.
Is that a jet? Is that like a jet?
You're really loud.
It is. It's a jet, but it's the crappiest jet ever
It's
known
the
to man.
trainer, right? It's
yeah,
the
it's the
trainer,
trainer.
Yeah,
right?
yeah, it's the train. It was a
Yeah.
side-by-side trainer that
Turn it
they
on.
did away with. And so after I got done flying, I went and flew AWACS after that.
Okay.
And after flying AWACS, I went back to training and was an instructor pilot on the T6, which replaced the Tweet. And that was that plane was a ton of fun. A lot of horsepower, not much weight. And so I was the guy that never wanted to do anything that was fighter related, the formation flight, the aerobatics, but those turned out to be the things that I love doing the most, which is kind of ironic.
What's the like highest performance aircraft you've flown?
I flew in the B1, which I would say that one's probably
Wait,
Yeah.
the
bomber?
the stealth bomber?
yeah. That's the B2.
Oh, okay.
B1 is the one that has the sweep wings.
Yeah.
Okay. Okay, that's like really.
Yeah, so you
I
could
feel like that's class. You could fly a MiG-29.
yeah.
I would hope so.
On TikTok, I get all these like TikToks. So there's like a lot of Americans. I mean, I don't know what a lot is, but that are going over. They're like in Poland right now, and they're like,
Yeah, no, I know people that.
Do you
that quit their
really?
jobs. Yeah, I know people that quit their jobs. That I actually worked with a couple of guys that used to be like Marine snipers that have decided they were picking a gun back up and going over.
Really?
I was like, oh, yeah, 20 years out of the military, and they're going to go back and start headhunting again.
What would it take for old? You could have a third channel, Spiguyver's Ukraine crisis.
I'd have to live feed it all the time.
Good content. I saw that and I was like, wow. And then I thought it was like just a few people, but there's like a lot of, and not just Americans, right? There's like a lot of like people going over there that, aren't Ukrainian. I'm like, wow, that's hey man, our government's not going to send people, so they'll just go willingly. And we're not,
I've seen some ex-military British guys that are going over too, some SAS guys.
Was there even a millisecond in your existence where you thought, oh God,
No.
What if they needed pilots?
Yeah, the Ghost of Kiev turned out to be fake.
Ghost of Kiev. we're like, is that Spiguyver? His MiG-29. Oh, that's pretty funny. So okay, all right. It was funny. Andy, I baptized Andy in Spiguyver's Garage before this live stream. I was like, have you seen his super videos? He's like, yeah, but I was like, have you seen the channel? He's like, no. And so he was binging Spiguyver's Garage like right before we went live.
I've been working on last couple of days. My hands are all greasy. I've been out working on the Audi TT. I was replacing some axles and doing some other stuff on that. And I should have been recording it, but I wasn't.
We need to plug. So I haven't put it in the description yet, but that's okay. Very few people watch this live, but there'll be a link to both of Mark's. Can I say Mark? Do people call you by your real name?
Yeah. No,
okay.
I've stopped saying, hey, this is Spiguyver on all the videos. It's just, hey, this is Mark. Just, I don't know. It felt really weird saying Spiguyver.
No, that's not weird on a video at all. But this is more like, like we've talked and I'm like, I know you as Mark. Right. Anyway, both of Mark's quote unquote Spiguyver's channels will be in the description. If you don't know, he's got a, did the second channel start out as a Supra specific channel and then it turned into a car specific? Cause I thought it was Spiguyver Supra in my head.
It was.
Okay.
Originally.
Okay.
Yep.
Wait, hold on a second. Since I've watched that channel for a solid 5 to 10 minutes total.
It's like 10 minutes.
What year is that Supra?
You've got most people beat. It's a 2020.
Yeah, that thing's ripping.
Supra's pretty awesome car.
It's a good looking car.
Anyway, check out his backpacking channel, but also check out if you're into cars or you want to see some cool content. I like how you're doing some vlog style videos too, by the way, on your main channel.
Yeah, this week I haven't done as many. It's been windy as hell, and it's how hard it is to be out when it's windy.
Yeah,
it sucks.
And audio, you don't get any audio.
Right, exactly. Yep.
I liked the video I saw of yours. You didn't do this recently, but some woman like you gave her like a gear shakedown. That was pretty cool. How did that happen?
I was planning on doing more of those, and I did have one other person send me some stuff, but it just didn't come together very well. And so I spent a lot of time trying to edit it, trying to get it to weave together, and it just never really came together the way I wanted it. And you guys know how it is when something just isn't working.
Yeah.
You just trash
It's
it.
a cool
and walk
concept
away.
though. Like it's a good
Yeah,
concept.
and I think that done right, it could be really cool. But I think the first one worked out pretty well.
That was good.
They're long. They're long. They can be really long.
I like how the woman brought a liter of wine
Right?
in the like like a platypus thing.
Yeah.
I was like, okay.
She would fit in with us.
She seemed cool. You didn't know this person, right? They just sent you.
I just know her off of Facebook.
Okay,
that's all.
okay. I thought it was a pretty hilarious thing
We-
because I was like, "Who is this person?" And I was like, "Oh, this is the shakedown video." And I was watching it, and then she was like, "I got this liter of wine." I was like, "Oh, she'd be fun to backpack with." and then you started laying into her gear, which I also thought was hilarious.
What about like a live stream gear shakedown?
That's also a good idea.
I think that could work really well as long as the person knows that they're going to get roasted pretty good.
Yeah.
We were tossing around ideas for videos today, and
Yeah, this is great.
we included always make videos about, because people ask us these things about like how to lighten your gear and stuff. We're like, what about making a video about how to make your gear heavier to maximize the amount of fun that you're gonna have?
It's like what ounce per unit fun is the most efficient, because you always think about, reducing what ounce is the most efficient, but like we bring chairs, like that kind of stuff. Like what is the most efficient way to have a heavier pack, but more fun
Yeah. I think you're like in the 12 to 14 pound range.
for like a base weight?
Yeah.
Well, that's a chair. Spiguyver, sometimes I was watching today because I wanted to see how bad the smoke was when you guys did it again. I rewatched the last video of your TRT attempt. And I remember on that trip, you brought like 10 pounds of camera gear, didn't you?
I did. I brought way too much.
Because you had a drone,
Like,
you had 2 cameras, you had a tripod.
a full tripod.
Yeah.
Yeah, dude.
And that's not a flat
It was
trail.
well, and like the number of batteries to keep everything going too. I had like 6 batteries for the drone, 4 for the big
6,
camera.
yeah,
I mean, it was just, I was carrying so much crap. And hindsight, I probably would have had a lot more fun had I scrapped that and just gone with the GoPro and done it the way that I do all my other videos.
Yeah. I remember after that, you're like, I'm just going with the GoPro. Are you, I remember we talked about this last year, but are you going to try and reattempt that hike this year?
I don't know about this year. I don't know. This year's this one's going to be a weird year for me at this point with, with being unemployed.
I know we were
not
going to,
really knowing what's up with that wear out. And I mean, here's the crazy part about all of this. I had talked about maybe doing the AT.
This is, hey, you got to take advantage of fun employment.
The problem though is that I've got a family. I've got a family that I've got to worry
That's
about.
always the problem, Mark.
I've got
Peace. See you guys later.
Right. I've got a kid that's a sophomore in college, a senior in high school.
So you have 3 kids. You have 3 kids, right?
Yeah. So, I mean, it's, and then my wife isn't working because we had her quit her job because she's going through to get into nursing school. So she's doing all that right now. And, so it'd be probably a little irresponsible of me, but,
the ironic thing though is, I mean, the family thing, obviously that's a real thing, but like, when are you ever going to have an opportunity to be able to do it other than being retired? Right.
So we have talked about it, and she knew I wanted to, I was pretty serious about, hey, we've got the time, we've got the money set aside. I could do this. Once she gets everything settled and she's got her career going, we'll probably make time where I'm able to.
How much are you budgeting? Andy and I were talking about this yesterday.
Is it still $1,000 a month?
I don't know.
To through hike?
I would probably say for me,
more.
I would probably say a little less. I think I do less of the town stops than most people. No, I would probably only hit the ones that it's actually going through, not the ones that you have to go off for.
Would you try?
I would probably try to keep it to under 90 days.
That's what that was.
Under days for sure, but probably under 90.
That was my next question, was how long? Under 90 days?
Yeah, I think that's where I'd want to be. And I think that I'm in the shape. I think that I'm good enough. You know, a lot of people start off and they're having to knock out 10s and 12s to get themselves into shape. And I'm fairly certain that I could start with 18 to 20 and ramp up pretty quickly.
What's the average mileage you have to do it in 90 days? The only one person I know that I've watched do this is Follow Bigfoot. Remember, he didn't vlog at the time, but he's the only guy I know that did it for his job. He did it in 90 days. But what do you have to average? At least 20, right?
I don't know. Yeah, it's probably a little over 20.
And that's average. And there's going to be days you're going to go to town and get a burger and a beer.
Oh, absolutely. Yeah.
So you got to have like.
But I'll tell you, if you do it that quick, it really does eat into the cost. I mean, you don't need a lot. If you do it really fast, you need less money. So that's fair.
Yeah. Well, and you need less money back home keeping things going.
That's true. Yeah.
You know, a lot of people, they sell their house or they stop wherever they're renting and move their stuff into storage. But when you've got a family that's still living there, I mean, all the monthly expenses are still going on back home too. I think that's the part that people don't get about, you know, people that have families trying to do it.
Poucher said in the chat that 24 miles a day, no zeros to get to 89.
Yeah, but I think
there you go, Mark.
There's definitely areas where you'd be slower than that.
Yeah.
But I mean, even just doing weekends
was that
before
25?
24
up near the Smokies, I was knocking out 25 and 26 mile days just doing weekend warrior stuff.
Really?
Every day though.
I know.
89.
You got to put some money aside for physical therapy when you get home.
Goal, right?
Yeah.
Have a goal.
Yeah,
That's true. It's like if you shoot for 90 and it's like 100, well, who cares? Yeah, that's fair. Right. Because when I think about it, I'm like, dude, 5 months?
5.5 months?
You know, like,
we're hitting every town.
Much more enjoyable. I think it'd be much more enjoyable doing it that way, stretching it out.
Every brewery.
We're hitting every town.
Burger joint, dude. Because you know, like we're not gonna. I doubt I'd ever be in a situation where I'd try and squeeze it in my career days. You know what I mean? Like we'll just be old guys out there, or like, you know, like when we retire or something like that. I don't know, because like we have kids now, and I couldn't even imagine leaving my wife with a child for that. At least your kids are grown up. You know what I mean? Like ish. You know, we have newborns, so it's like that's clearly not happening. But I would never. I don't even know if I had all the time in the world if I'd want to do it in 3 months.
No, I'd want to stretch it out.
Do you ever consider doing the PCT instead?
Oh yeah, no, actually, over the
that's where we're at.
Last probably 4 or 5 years, as the explosion of people out on the AT has just gone way up. I've really leaned more towards the other trails, you know, and that's, I hate to say it, but the attraction to the long trails is kind of killing it for me, because I don't want to be out with a ton of other people that are out there. And, you know, I think the PCT attracts a little bit of a different crowd.
Yeah.
There's a lot of a younger crowd that's more into the partying and being a little bit crazy while they're out there, that hit the AT, and it's easier because there's towns all the time.
Are there any, are you following anyone that's doing any of these trails this year?
So far this year, I've watched a couple of them here and there, but no one that I've like said, oh yeah, this is who I need to follow. It's been a while since there's been someone that I was like, man, I really want to follow this person.
Yeah, Kyle's
the last one.
Yeah, Kyle's the only one I'm gonna follow this year.
Yeah,
until I inevitably find someone, like inevitably on YouTube, that some like suggested video pops up and it's like somebody doing it, and then I usually like, I'm like, oh, this person's pretty cool. But normally it got like, I don't know. For me, it was like the year before COVID, the year Frozen did it was when, to me, it was like, I know it's more peaked now, but that year, like everybody was vlogging it.
There was a Will Edge in the chat just posted there were 60 people at Gooch Shelter last night.
Jesus.
I don't know.
60.
I don't know where that is, but
well, so the bubble like has started, right?
Yeah.
Isn't the AT technically like mid-March? Isn't that when like it gets nuts?
Yeah, like March into April is, I think April 1st might be the official start of it, but I mean it's grown so much that I think that period has grown as well.
Are you gonna do a typical Nobo? Is that your thing? Because I've talked to some people that want to do the Sobo.
So, like I've done quite a few sections of it. I've probably got somewhere between 700 and 1,000 miles.
Oh,
done
I didn't
of
realize
BAT.
you'd done that much.
So
of it.
I mean, I could, and the thought at one point was just go and knock off a couple of longer sections that I've not done.
I didn't realize you've done that much of it. I know I've seen several videos of you doing parts of it.
Well, and most of it was before I was doing any of the videos.
Okay.
I was just going out on the weekends when I was living in Charleston. Pretty much every free weekend that I had, I was going out and knocking out a weekend's worth.
Was this in the pro mountain biking days?
No, it was a little after that.
Okay. I always forget you're a pro mountain biker. I remember you telling me a story. I forget you got like horribly injured.
Yeah.
So another thing I wanted to bring up, because it's actually rare that we talk to someone, because I think you've been doing YouTube longer than us. I think so. I think you have. So it's rare that we talk to someone, and we started in 2017. So we're going on 5 years. So you're at least 5 years. What?
Pushing 6, but
you're pushing 6. Okay. What do you? I remember actually I've seen some of your first. I don't know if they're still up. Some of your first videos are the mountain biking videos.
Yeah, I don't know where they
are. They gone?
I had some, and I don't know where they are. I think at one point I had found that channel and linked it somewhere, but
I remember they used to be on your, if you like scroll to like oldest ones.
I had a couple down there. I had a couple, like one where I rented a bike over in London and was riding through traffic in London.
What do you think of the whole YouTube thing, man? 6 years. That's a lot of your life on the internet.
It is. And
you put out a lot of content.
Yeah. I mean, I've got a lot of videos out there. It's one of those things that you kind of sit back and you scratch your head and you go, okay, why is this person so successful and why am I not successful?
Yeah.
And there was a period there that I was really focused on, all right, what do I need to do to get these numbers up and to do this? And so I'm going to start doing this when I video, and I'm going to start doing this. I'm going to add this in here. And then I got to the point where I was like, I'm never going to make enough money where it's worth my time to do that. I've got to get back to just doing it because I enjoy doing it. And so I've had periods where there are breaks where there's 2 months without a video. But then like right now, I'm enjoying it.
So you're cranking.
I'm enjoying getting out and doing stuff, and I've got a lot of content that I want to get out, and there's things that have got me excited again, and so I have no problem going out and doing 3, 4, sometimes 5 videos a week. And that's between both channels. So
I know, dude, you do put out a lot of videos. We've had these discussions like with us about what you've talked about like, okay, like Dan Becker's the obvious one, right? Like he just blew up, and then there's been a few since him that have, and if you look at the style of video and you dissect it technically, like you can start to figure it out. But we fall in the same line as you, and like this is never going to be our job. I mean, I'm not going to say never, but like probably never going to be our job. So maybe let's do what makes it sustainable for us and what's enjoyable for us.
If we wanted to make money, we've purposely missed out on lots of money.
Well, yeah, I mean, we get hit up by companies all the time, and we just don't care.
Yeah.
So like the other day, you were talking about how all these people are hitting you up. I mean, how many a week do you get that say, oh, hey, do a 2-minute spot and we'll give you $2,000 and this portion of this. And so, it's like, where is this coming from?
So what happens to us is we probably get one a day on average, and they're not all like, we're just going to give you thousands of dollars. It's come to the point we have like a blank response. Basically, someone will email us. It's usually like a vendor from Amazon or a tiny company you've never heard of, and they're like, hey, we'll give you a piece of gear in response for a video. And we're like, we don't do that. Like if you want to, if it's most of the time, it's not a piece of gear we care about, so we don't even want it.
Right.
If it is a piece of gear we care about, we're like, send it to us. And like, if we like it, I can't promise you anything other than we'll use it. I don't know if it'll get in a video, but if we really like it, we'll do video on it, whatever. Then there's the people who are like, I mean, we've been like, dude, we've been downright harassed by people. I'm not even gonna lie. And then they're like, we want, like, what does it take? And then if we want them to go away, we'll literally be like, we want $5,000 for a 30-second spot or something.
It's awesome.
And they never bite on that.
That's not in our
Hopefully
marketing
one of
budget.
them goes, oh yeah, that's great.
And we actually haven't done a sponsored spot in a while.
Yeah.
But usually it's like
Art of the Trek.
we did a few with Art of the Trek, and that was like last summer sometime. We do not do it that often.
Yeah.
Mainly it's because A, we're lazy, and then B, I mean, if you talk to like Dan about his process, I mean, he has got this to a business T where it's like certain things cost this much and this much based on what you do and this and that. And we are just never to that level. We've probably done 4 or 5 sponsored videos, and it's always with companies we know. And then we kind of like, they'll be like, okay, we want 2 minutes. And we're like, no, we're not doing that. We'll do a minute at the beginning of the video. Or like, no, we want a minute in the middle of the video. I'm like, no, we're not doing that. And we kind of go back and forth, but it's only happened like 5 or 6 times. Now the podcast gets sponsorships and that's a whole other thing. But most people watch the audio, but if you actually watch the stream or the recording of the stream, but if you go and listen to the audio of this, there is usually an ad or 2 that plays before it. So that's a whole other sponsorship. And that's also with like companies we know of. But to answer your question, we get hit up at least on average once a day, like 90% straight garbage. Like, here's a power station. Here's a.
Oh yeah. You mentioned that the other day, and the big ones that can power your house for like 4 days.
Do you have your email in your YouTube bio?
Yeah, I think I do.
Okay, because the second we did that, it was like the gates opened up.
Yep.
And it was like, hey, this is your fan Ming. And we've got a thing, and like it just
we've got a new cooler.
I remember
out.
So the one and only time we ever backpacked with Frozen, which was really fun. I know you've done it at least once. We were very, very tiny. I don't remember how big he was, but he busted out his phone. He showed me, and he scrolled through. He was getting people that wanted him to advertise for like fake eyelashes or like something. It was something really weird. And he's like, just at some point, these companies will start hitting you up, and it was many, many years later. And now, I mean, dude, there have been 3 or 4 of them that it's downright harassment, and we've had to like block their email address, like from.
I mean, that's not surprising at all.
Like from our, it's really weird. Even then, when we're like $10,000 for 30 seconds, and they're like, no, will you do like $100 for 30 seconds? I'm like, no. So we've had to like block them. So they get kind of aggressive, but, we talked about this on the stream, and I want to talk to you about this because a company reached out to us is, are you getting in on the Schmanian? Rhymes with Schmanian. Do you know what I'm talking about?
Am I getting in on it?
Like, do you know about the new one?
So, yeah, I mean, I've talked with him.
That's what I meant by getting in on it. Like, do you know it?
Yeah, I figured, I mean, I wanted to ask him what's changed since mine, because I've got 2. I've got one that no one else will ever have.
Is like the original variant?
So I have the original variant, and then I have one that Alex made special for me in Cloud 71, which I'm the only one that will ever have that one.
Oh, that's the one.
They won't make it in that.
That's
so
pretty sweet.
I reached out to Dutch, and I said, hey, I see you're posting all this stuff. When's it coming out? What are the changes? What's different than on mine? So he gave me kind of the rundown, and so I've got a video that's sitting waiting for his stuff to actually.
Okay. Then I won't ask you to splurge the details because I still don't know.
We got it.
Oh, I didn't read it.
Oh yeah, we have it.
Okay. We won't spill the beans. You've got a video coming out that talks about it. Right?
I do.
Okay.
Yeah. Well, just an update saying, hey, here's, he's finally coming out with it. Here were the problems, because I've been following along. I've known what the issues were all along with getting it back out. So, I think it's something that a lot of people have been waiting a long time for, and I think people are still skeptical whether or not it's actually going to come out.
Oh, really?
I mean, even people that know Dutch pretty well. Like the other day, I saw a post on Facebook. Someone was asking about it, and he's like, "Oh yeah, it'll be another 2 weeks." And the guy's like, "Really?" And he's like, "Oh, that's just the standard response at this point."
Oh, okay. I didn't know that. Andy just pulled up the email where he sent us because we asked the same thing. We're like, what's different about it? And but we won't. We'll let Spiguyver get those clicks.
Yeah, you can have all those clicks.
All right, let's talk about actual backpacking. I did see that you were you just. I just saw you were like, you had some videos that you were in Sweden.
I was, yeah.
Is this with your prior employer? Because you're like,
yeah.
every time I see a video from you, you're like
Swedish Air Force.
somewhere. Oh, you were with the Swedish Air Force.
Yeah.
Do they have a good Air Force?
They're underfunded.
Not anymore.
Well, I don't know. I don't know if are they getting jets?
Well,
I don't know.
I mean, it's just like all of the EU is bumping their budget up.
Yeah.
For sure.
But so I know you're no longer with that employer, right?
That's correct.
So you're what I'm getting at is your Europe travels. I don't know if you're backpacking in Europe. So what do you got on the slate? Like, and are you taking advantage of being unemployed from a backpacking stance? I know you're not doing the AT next week.
Yeah. So, it's actually a lot tougher than you would think.
Yeah.
Like being unemployed and actually trying to find a job.
Yeah.
Gets
That's
somewhat
grind.
stressful, especially when, I mean, I hate to put it this way, but the level that I was at trying to find stuff that doesn't.
You're pretty high up.
Yeah, I was the president of the company when
he was the highest
when everything went down. So yeah, so it's tough because you don't want to take a hit that's going to kill
right
the way that you've lived.
Right.
So there's not as many jobs. I mean, if I was my son, it's easy. If you lose a job, you just go out and get another job paying $20 an hour. There's a ton of them out there right now because people don't want to work. And I've had some really, really good interviews. I've got one that I'm really looking forward to tomorrow. And a lot of what I've been looking at is actually outside of the industry that I've been in.
Because really?
I'm a little bit sick of the way things go in that industry. And so I've been kind of looking a little bit outside at things that are either adjacent or completely different. I interviewed for a president of a school of mathematics and science. So,
oh shit! I was about to ask you if you would tell some of the oddball ones.
11th and 12th grade in residence STEM school is really what it was, and so I've made it past the first round of interviews there. There's going to be a minimum of 3 rounds.
That's a pretty cool gig.
Yeah, I mean, and I think those are the kinds of things that I like education. I like space, so I've been looking at some space things. Interviewed with a company that's putting together houses, modular houses that they'll be able to install in a Mars colony.
Oh,
so
this is pretty cool.
Lots of different things. Yeah,
I don't think we've ever actually, and we don't have to, but we haven't ever discussed what your previous sect of employment was, but I guess you can probably get a hint at what he just said. But it's kind of cool that you're looking at something that maybe is related or is totally, I mean, principal of a school, principal Spiguyver. Right. You better make every single one of your students subscribe to your YouTube channel. You get an instant bump right there.
If you're a principal of a school, do you still get the summers off? You could definitely through hike then.
That's a great question. I don't know if you do if you're running this.
Like you're an administrator.
I think it depends, but I would say it gets split. Like the duties get split a lot between the administration. So there's definitely time.
Have you? I think about this sometimes, and I'm not in any place where I'd like to do it. But have you thought about a career in the outdoors? Not YouTube.
I have. I did apply for one and got an immediate no, which kind of shocked me.
Oh, really?
Was it the CEO of REI?
No. Retail doesn't.
He's not getting the green vest.
You're not getting the green vest, huh?
No, it was actually a worldwide survival and training type school.
Yeah,
teaches navigation and stuff like that.
Oh, that's cool. I feel like you would be qualified for that sort of thing.
Well, I think because my resume isn't really. I didn't tailor the resume to it.
Mm.
I used kind of my standard resume, and then addressed everything in the cover letter.
Are we still doing cover letters, Mark? Is that a thing still?
It depends. I think it depends. I did a lot of interviewing people and a lot of hiring over the last few years, and I'll be honest,
You're not
very
reading them.
people,
You're not.
very few people sent them in, and you read even fewer. So
Okay. I was like, I've been in a hiring position before, and like they were nice, and that doesn't look like it counts against you, but it's
but
like
it doesn't really gain you any extra points.
right.
I've hired so many people and I've never gotten a cover letter.
Really?
Yeah.
Yeah, we normally would get them.
I've never gotten one.
I would read him some. I like his response. You get few and you read even fewer. But my point was like, what about like a job with like the Forest Service or like I don't know,
a hot shot.
And the next, yeah, you go fight fire. But then I was like, well, I don't know if you're interested in relocating. I mean, you've got 3 kids there that are probably in the school. You're probably not leaving. I know where you're at now. I won't say it, but I'm assuming you're not like going to relocate.
I am. I mean. So, and that's part of the difficulty of this whole thing is that, with everyone pretty much rooted into what they're doing here, they'd be staying and I'd be probably getting an apartment and, flying back and forth every once in a while.
Okay. Well, that at least,
but like the job I'm interviewing for tomorrow is in the, Salt Lake City area.
That's a great area.
Yeah.
You can go backpacking with Devin.
I know.
You got to tailor your job prospects around where the best backpack. It's funny because the company I work for has a big office in Salt Lake City too, but we're like pretty remote still. So no one's going there. But I was telling my boss, I was like, you ever need a guy to go to Salt Lake City? I'm your guy.
I will take that bullet.
Yeah, I know. Right. But I don't even know, like, I always think about like, what would you do for the Forest Service or something? I don't even know. Like administrative, or like, would you want to be out there like
cutting trail,
like doing trail things?
Checking
at one point, I definitely would have like like a ridge runner type thing in the Smokies or something like that. I think would have been cool as a lot younger guy. Problem is the pay. I mean, it's just,
well, all these jobs pay very low.
Yeah.
Lower than you. Yeah. Yes. I know. It's like to me, it's like, I think it'd be cool. Like get to a place where I could like retire to part-time, if that makes sense, and just for benefits and like a side income. Sure. I'm nowhere near that point currently, but like, I think that would be cool. The other thing is like, we live in Columbus, Ohio, and those jobs are basically non-existent. I thought you could be like a park ranger at the Metro Park. That's like the closest thing. I think Mark would be a good park ranger though. That'd be kind of a cool job. I don't know.
Yeah, they have legit park rangers in our metro parks.
I know. They're like strapped and stuff.
I know.
But I thought like, if I were to lose my job, if I could make the same amount of money in something in the outdoors space, which would be difficult.
No,
not impossible. Yeah, I know. Not impossible though. I'm not talking like working for the government, but like there are companies that they do things related to that, like what you brought up, like survival training and stuff, which is private company, but it's related to the outdoors. And like that'd be cool. It'd be cool to be outside for a living, versus sitting in front of a computer, which is what I'm sure. I don't know. You at least got to travel a lot with your old job, but it was probably like
quite a bit.
It was probably like a computer based job where you're staring at screens for the most part. I'm like, that would be pretty cool to like I don't know, not have to do that, but making money is also cool.
Yeah, that last Europe trip I definitely took advantage of and got out while I was in Sweden, got out while I was in the UK.
You had many trips in the UK.
Yeah, but I hadn't hit like I'd hit Scotland, I'd hit England, I hadn't hit Wales, so I hit Wales last time I was out there. So it was pretty crazy.
Did you ever do any backpacking in Ukraine?
There's a lot of funny comments, Ukraine related right now going on.
I really am fighting back at talking to you about like air combat and the current conflict.
Somebody
I would like to talk about that.
Hold on. Jake Colvin commented and said, "Did I miss the COVID in Ukraine talk? Because that's why I tune in to this backpacking podcast."
Really, guys, we're gonna get there. I got to do a little bit of outdoorsy stuff.
Here's a combination. From Scott Foster, do you feel if Vladimir Putin was forced to hike the AT, he would have turned out to be a better person? Additionally, would he have been a camp chairperson?
Yes. I was actually going to ask you though, did you have any experience with the Ukrainian Air Force prior to all this? Because you like interface with various of these.
That's true.
Any Eastern European ones at all? Like Poland?
Some, but not that I can really talk about right now.
Did they have okay? I knew we would eventually get to that point where like I know there's stuff you probably can't talk about, but I didn't know. I was like, he probably knows something about what's going on over there from an air combat perspective. I don't know.
You got to dominate the skies.
All I heard is everyone wants the U.S. to do a no-fly zone, and I'm like, I kind of know what that means. It probably means we're getting into war, though. Is that what that means?
I mean, that is essentially exactly at this point. The problem is there's so many variables that are attached to this.
Let's unpack that.
China being a big one, and I think this is a test run. I think China backed, and now we're going down a whole nother path.
No, this is good. No,
China backed Russia,
right?
Kind of stood behind them, said, "Hey," gave them that little nudge that they needed to do this. And so I think they're using it to see how the global community reacts to it so they can go take over Taiwan.
They want Taiwan, yeah. Right? So I was thinking about that. And I don't know anything about Taiwan, but I'm under the impression that Taiwan is like backed much more heavily than Ukraine is by the West. Is that true?
I would say there's reasons that the Ukraine is pretty well backed, though. They are a leader in a lot of areas, a lot of things that we use. Sunflower seeds, sunflower oil,
neon gas. I didn't know that.
Different like heavy metals come from are very prevalent there. And there's a thought that if Russia gets away with this, where are they going to stop?
Yeah. I get that.
And so I think that there's a lot of Western countries there in the EU that are concerned and a little bit nervous. And it only takes one that has the balls to step up and do something. And this is going to get really nasty really quick.
How do you see this unfolding?
Well, I think right now Ukraine is doing a really good job of destroying Russia. I mean,
no one expected that, right?
Right. Yeah. No. And hey, I had arguments with people. They were talking about how Ukraine armed all their citizens, so their citizens are fighting back, and I was like, look, U.S. has a lot of guns, but if there's an invasion, if China comes and invades us, they've got manpower, they've got technology. There's the aircraft, there's the ground-based stuff like tanks. A gun's not going to do anything against a jet with rockets on it. But you start watching what's going on over there, and I'm to some extent being proven wrong, because they're destroying the tanks, they're taking down planes. It's happening, and I don't think anyone expected it to go the way that it's going. Putin, least of all. I mean, so it's kind of cool that a country that really wasn't given much. Oh, and I think the most impressive thing out of all of it is the leadership what the president of the Ukraine has shown. I mean, think back in our history. What was the last president that you could see strapping on a flak jacket, going out there, picking up a weapon, and being a part of defending the country? No, they'd be in a bunker. They'd be hidden away. It just wouldn't happen. And so there's a little bit of respect there. And I mean, their entire country is on the line. And I mean, even if they win it, they've lost a tremendous amount. Infrastructure has been damaged so badly. But I think that this is just kind of the, like I said, I think this is kind of a thing that China's waiting to see how it all goes down, how everyone reacts. And the fact that there hasn't been much NATO or Allied force type reaction, I don't know. I don't know what this does in the future.
There's so many things I want to unpack about what you said, and I do want to come back to the China invading the U.S. scenario.
I also want to say it's probably a fair assessment to say too that the Ukraine is also putting up a pretty awesome fight too because of the amount of like weapons
I
that are being
heard
flooded.
the U.S. gave them
that's true.
60 million rounds of ammunition.
Dude, the NASCAR Association sent 1 million rounds.
What? I did not hear that.
That was on the news.
NASCAR gave them 1 million rounds.
Yeah, I think they were still trying to figure out the logistics. They purchased it all of getting it over there.
So do you think Russia did not expect this sort of all these countries getting behind Ukraine? They couldn't have expected that, right?
No, and I mean, I think that they're trying to say, oh, well, this is an act of war because you're supporting them, but it's a tough one.
So in my head, Andy is confirming that, in fact, NASCAR Hall of Fame owner Richard Childress donated 1 million rounds of. So it wasn't a NASCAR, but a NASCAR Hall of Famer, Richard Childress, did donate 1 million rounds of ammunition to the Ukrainian Armed Forces. Awesome.
That's pretty awesome.
Should we have a live stream fundraiser? We'll do shots of bourbon, $100 to the Ukraine.
Buy a bunch of 22 for them.
How do you think this realistically ends, though? I mean, so
my prediction is that there's in the news today, there seems to be some movement and some compromise. I have a feeling Ukraine's going to lose some land.
Like, do you think that's how it ends?
Yeah, they're going to lose.
But are they going to lose Crimea and then the contested areas that were basically Russia anyway?
Yeah, and then they're not going to be able to join NATO or the EU. I think that's what happens.
Do you think that's a win for Ukraine?
I do.
I don't know. I think that may be a win for Russia.
For Russia?
Yeah. I mean, it's the NATO piece that.
Well, that's what they say. That's what they say. But then, because everyone's like, oh, Putin's been saying no NATO, no NATO. And then they confirmed like 2 weeks before the invasion, Zelensky's like, yeah, I don't think NATO's on the table. And then Putin goes in anyway. So then it's like, wait. So I guess you just really want to expand your empire.
Is that the reason for Russia invading Ukraine, to like reunify the USSR? Like, or is it just to take their natural resources? Like, what's the real reason? Do you know?
I don't know. I really don't.
Because it's kind of, I didn't, before all this started, I didn't realize, like you brought up, that Ukraine is, A, it's huge, and B, it's got a lot of stuff. It's got some oil. It's got things that would be profitable for Russia to have. And another thing that someone brought up that I was watching was Russia historically, right, gets invaded every like 50 to 100 years.
Well, they're
and they get invaded through the area that is Ukraine. Like Germany, Napoleon, they all come in through that area, and like they wanted it as a defensive point. I'd never heard that. I was like, oh, that's true though. They do get invaded a lot historically.
I think the only thing that people have tried piecing together is that expanding the original Russian Empire, not the USSR.
Yeah, but I think the big thing that Putin didn't count on was the backlash within his own country.
Yeah, absolutely.
I think that he thought he had the support of everybody, and that turns out not to be the case whatsoever.
I saw some article this morning, like
we're taking their yachts.
Yeah, the whoever the head intelligence guy in Russia was that made the assessment that they would just roll in there and take over. He's been disappeared.
He's been disappeared. Yeah. I like that. I have been most surprised, and I don't know if this is how Russia does invasion, but like how bad the equipment is that they've been rolling in there, and like how derelict everything is. And like, I don't know if their strategies get all the crap out there first and then the good stuff comes in, but like they throw the conscripts and like the old tanks from the 70s and 80s in there first. And then I don't know.
I don't think they've got the good stuff that people think.
Do they just not have that?
That's part of it. I think that they just don't have that much.
Well, yeah.
How good's their Air Force? Can you talk about that? Russia's.
A lot. I mean, the very, very little that I had ever dealt with their stuff is broken all the time. Okay. They hardly ever have functional aircraft because it's just so badly taken care of.
How good are those Sugoi jets? How good are those?
Oh, they're good
When
planes.
I would ever play Ace Combat, those things
Yeah.
come at you left and right.
Yeah.
That's what they use, right? In the MiGs?
Yeah, I mean MiGs and yeah. Yep.
Are MiG, but like are our fighters just like are they, first off, is a comparable American fighter better than a comparable Russian fighter? I know it's a weird question because I'm saying comparable, but like I don't know does Russia have an F-35 variant comparison or like an F-22 one? Like are our planes that much better than them? Like do you know?
It's been a while since I've really looked into what they actually had and what the capabilities were, but since the 22 came out, there's
Okay.
not much. There's not much in the world that I mean.
We're asking
Most people are
technical
dead before.
aero
Most
combat
people are dead
questions.
before they know that the F-22 is even in the air.
F-22 is that good?
It's that good.
Because everyone talks about the F-35.
Is this like the first? If the media
Is the
was-
F-22 the Hornet? No, it's the F-18.
if the
What's
if,
the F-20?
Yeah,
if the coverage is correct, is this the first time that there's been like a dogfight since like Vietnam or something like that?
it's been a really, really long time. Yeah.
Wow.
I have friends that text me like, I didn't even know dogfighting was a thing. I was like, yeah, I've been playing Ace Combat. They got missiles. Just because they have missiles instead of guns doesn't mean there isn't dogfighting anymore. Because that's happening right now, right? Like we're
Yeah, it is.
it's going on.
It legit is. Yeah.
It's kind of, I mean, it's kind of cool. It's not cool, but
Well, and it's because neither side has the super advanced technology that would make it.
so like, are you
Obsolete.
saying if we rolled our jets in there, it wouldn't even be like
It wouldn't be a fight.
Really?
wouldn't be a
It's
fight
like
at all.
that disparate? Okay. I didn't
Yes.
realize that. That's pretty cool.
Until China gets involved, because if we roll in,
How good is China? So
and that's
how good are they?
it's hard to tell. It's hard to tell,
And
and that's part of the whole thing is you never know how much China really has and how much of it's bullshit propaganda.
yeah, I want to come back to the invasion of America scenario. So
How good? Okay, hold on. Wait. Pistol calibers. What are you doing with a 380?
oh, were you
This came
on?
up.
Dude, were you on? You were on our last stream. I know you were there, but
I
were you
was,
there for
yeah.
the conversation about this?
I think I came in like right at the end of
So what happened
that.
was there was like a month ago, an Iditarod sled dog team was out practicing, and they got attacked by a bull moose, and it mauled all the dogs. And the woman who was in charge of the dog team was carrying a 380 and emptied the entire magazine into the animal, and it like didn't even flinch.
Right.
So that's
Right.
where this. And then we got into a whole conversation about calibers and all that
I
stuff.
came in where you were talking about 10 millimeters and the,
Okay.
where does the 10 millimeter
This
fit in the lineup?
so this whole conflict right now, and I've been talking to like my friends, like they go off about the military. They call it the relative war machines of the company. Like the Russian war machine is on display right now, going into Ukraine, and the whole conversation revolves around how much better the American war machine is than anything right now, including China. And then we got into like, what if a country invaded the US and how it seems impossible. Like to do it with ground troops, you're coming in either from the sea or you're coming in through Mexico or Canada. You're never coming in through Canada. That's never happening. I don't know.
Right.
Maybe Mexico, but then you got to fight through the most heavily armed population that's ever existed in the world.
But you're also assuming that everybody's just going to take up arms and just go to town.
No, but a lot will.
Sure. But to Mark's point too, if they roll in with armor,
I know. It's your point is if they have a
my
plane,
12
it doesn't
gauge ain't
matter.
doing anything.
Yeah, but it's like it seems impossible that we could ever be invaded. Like, would you say that's true?
I would say that there's definitely deterrence out there, but and this is where like early, kind of tying back to, I was talking about how space is pretty cool.
Yeah.
Space is now a piece of this whole thing.
Yeah.
Where
Space
there are
Force.
satellites up there that are not just satellites,
Yeah.
that have true weapons on them, that it's going to get to the point where at the press of a button, you could take out key infrastructure of a different country without them knowing that anything had happened.
Do we have
directed
these
energy
Do we have
weapons,
these capabilities? Do you know? Dude, he knows things. You don't have to divulge classified information.
I don't know much. I don't know much.
I watched some of those live. Like,
I mean, I can definitely I can see that we have satellites that have like nukes in them or something. you know,
well,
I mean,
I don't even know if that's what you're talking about.
There's a reason that we went from just having the Air Force to now also having a Space Force.
No, that makes sense. That makes sense that, the new frontier of battle could be, higher. Yeah. That makes total sense. It's scary to think that some country has a satellite up there that could just focus and just eliminate our power grid with the click of a button.
You got to watch the live like SpaceX Falcon 9 launches where they're like, we can't video this once it gets above a certain
because they probably have all sorts of stuff in there
because this is a classified mission.
Who do you think that the country that poses the most threat to us is China?
I think for several reasons, yes.
What are those reasons?
I think just technologically, they're probably the closest match.
Yeah.
Manpower wise, they
got a lot of people.
Overwhelm us.
They got a lot of people.
And then the fact that they control our economy.
Yeah,
I mean, that's also a problem.
They could financially destroy us.
Yeah, but They there's no way they could financially destroy us without them financially destroying themselves.
Right. Yeah.
My next question is, and I don't understand.
But when you're crazy, but when you're absolutely batshit crazy,
like Putin,
how far do you go?
Yeah. China is it. Yeah, I'm so far out of my league with discussing China.
At least right now, it appears China's motivated by money. At least
they're smart.
Yeah.
Putin
doesn't seem to be motivated
China? This is a stupid question. I don't know the answer to. Why does China want Taiwan?
Because it's
I haven't researched it.
Okay.
I just know that it's a.
I know they want it.
It's definitely a chess piece right now.
Yeah.
It was. Gosh, I don't want to say this wrong, but I mean,
because you can't even say Taiwan's a country.
Not to China.
Right. Did you see that Russia did that?
No.
Russia was listing off all the countries that they were opposing, and they listed Taiwan as a country. And I was like, what did you just say?
Here's a new one that somebody I saw this online in the new Top Gun that's coming out with Tom Cruise. In the original Top Gun, he had a patch of the Taiwanese flag on his flight.
You want to release that
jacket.
Movie in China, and that's coming off.
They had to take it off for that movie.
Yeah, that's a whole other thing. How we have just. But we have just bent over backwards for the Chinese market economy. And Hollywood is now it's like professional sporting leagues, but Hollywood was the first one to like really bend it over for China, hardcore.
John Cena.
Yeah, not even that. It's just like we are now making movies to appeal to specifically to the Chinese audience because it's a bigger audience than we are,
right.
And they've got money to spend,
right.
And then it goes into like the NBA and like all sorts of companies are just trying to eat that piece of the pie, and it's kind of scary because if anything, COVID showed us we're probably too dependent on them for things.
Too dependent on everybody.
Yes, and then one thing I know about Taiwan is. A lot of our goods are produced in Taiwan, and I believe a lot of like the semiconductor chips come through Taiwan. I know that's a
big deal.
That's a big deal right now, but that's like part of a piece of the pie. But the one thing I've kept hearing was what you alluded to was like, if Russia can take Ukraine and nobody cares, China's taking Taiwan, and then where does it stop? I don't know.
Yeah, because I had read something recently, and I think there's like two other. Like countries in kind of that limbo zone as well. That
oh really?
I think Iran is involved with one as well. So I don't know. I haven't done a ton of research, just reading through.
You're pretty knowledgeable on this stuff, though. I'll give you that. I'm about to ask you what controls the gas price next, so be prepared. What's your average? You got good gas prices out there?
Probably better than most.
I would figure it would be.
And I think we're probably like high threes for regular,
yeah,
mid
That's
fours
good.
for a premium, and then E85 has gone up significantly as well.
Oh, really?
Which is funny and shows how interconnected everything else is, and that this isn't just an oil issue.
Right.
But yeah, I was paying because I do a lot. I do an E85 blend in my car, and so I was like $1.85 for a gallon of E85, and it's up to like $3.50 right now.
Wow. So do you think some of it is oil companies gouging us? It's got to be, right?
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Absolutely. I think the inflation rates that we're seeing right now, capitalism is absolutely to blame.
Yeah.
We talked about
Nice.
that.
I mean,
Nice.
if you look at CEO,
that's a pretty liberal statement
versus
you just
worker,
made there.
I know, man. You've got to, and that's.
I totally agree.
Here's
By the
thing.
way, I
Here's the
totally
thing, man.
agree.
You've got to. The whole country needs to get out of this
Yeah.
red and blue, black
I know,
and
you
white.
gotta
Yeah.
call it out.
And look at the truth. Find the truth. And the truth is, there's never been a time in history where the gap between workers and CEOs has been higher.
Now he sounds like a Bernie Sanders, a Bernie bro. And I agree with all of this, by the way, 100%. I think capitalism is to blame for this, greed that we see.
Yeah.
For sure. But then I don't know how you fix it, right?
Unfortunately, the government has to get involved.
Yeah, that's not happening. And what we're seeing, by the way, it's way worse in countries like Russia with their oligarchs, and it's getting really bad in China. It's not just bad in the U.S. It's bad here.
And that's the thing is, still, this is the best country.
I know,
without a doubt.
Right.
I mean, I've gone all over the world, and we're just now dealing with high gas prices. Europe has been dealing with high gas prices for decades.
That's all these I hear. Yeah.
The problem is people don't think about it because they see signs and it's $1.75.
It's a liter
well,
though.
Per liter.
Yeah.
That's per liter.
Yeah.
and now we're talking about that's a euro. Translate that over to $1, and it's.
Hey,
we've had great gas prices for a really long time.
At least our energy economy is not dependent on Russia, like several of those countries are over there,
Well, but that's the funny part is that, the oil companies are blaming this on Russia. And depending on what source you look at, it's somewhere between 4 and 8% of our oil that actually comes from Russia.
Yeah.
So how are we seeing a 50% or a 35% increase in prices based off of 8% of our supply? It's a reason for them to be able to say, hey, we're paying more, so you're going to pay more.
I know. I hate it. And then you can. It's not just gas prices. It's companies use this under the guise of inflation that like everything's up. So it's inflation like that. You're raising your prices.
Yeah, just stop raising your prices.
Well, and my wife actually was reading a story that she shared with me that there's another thing that's out there now that it's not just inflation. It's I think the term is like smallflation or something like that. But it's where rather than raising prices, they're just shrinking the size.
Shrinkflation.
So yeah, shrinkflation.
Yes.
Okay. So instead of it being, one Charmin roll is equal to 3.5 normal ones. Now it's only.
They've been doing this well before all this happened. I know.
Oh yeah. Yeah. It's just, but it's now being recognized a little bit more, I think.
It's kind
because of everything else.
It's kind of terrifying. You'd think it'd have to. Hey, the Fed raised interest rates today. Yay! That's our one little thing.
Hey, I meant to tell you too. Do you see? Based on the last podcast, we got constitutional carry.
We did. By the way, I don't know if you were there for our.
Is that just because you guys?
Yeah, no, it got signed. It got signed like 2 days ago. Yeah. Do you guys have that?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. It passed here like about a year and a half ago.
Oh, okay.
So we didn't have when I lived in South Carolina. We didn't have it, so I had my concealed carry permit. But out here they've kind of always had the open carry thing. But
yeah.
It's just I don't know. I find open carry to be a weird thing.
It's kind of weird, right? It's
kind of a weird
thing. It's a little weird. Have you and you don't have to answer this. Have you ever carried backpacking?
No.
Okay.
I'm not. People in the city, people on the street scare me a whole lot more.
For sure. But those people go backpacking. Those people.
Anything I've ever seen.
Those people can be in the woods.
And you know, I've passed that guy with that drop.
Dude, that was so. I was with my wife. It was
I've passed-
2011. And they were the
I've-
nicest guys, and they had like Glock 17s drop leg. I'm like, hey, that's not comfortable to hike with. Come on. And like, why is this in the drop leg? Like, come on.
I don't have anything against people carrying.
No, it wasn't like.
And if you're in Alaska, if you're somewhere that has grizzlies or some other predator, you know, up near Yellowstone, and there's huge wolf issues, absolutely carry. I mean, but if you're in
What are you
you're in
carrying?
Oklahoma,
All right, if you're going
What's
into
that?
okay, last question, and then we'll shut this down. If you're going into
probably a 3/8.
you're carrying,
Yeah, you just want a simple, effective way to kill yourself when you're getting eaten alive.
Maybe a 22. I don't know.
just take like a BB gun. All right, man, this has been pretty fun. Thank you for talking to us,
Yeah.
dude. This is always a good time. I always have a good time.
Maybe
with you.
next
I'm glad
time-
we got to do this live. The
maybe
first time we did this, it wasn't live. I'm
Maybe
glad
next
we got
time
to do
we
this
can
live.
talk about hammocks. Once the band.
No, we talked. A solid first half of this podcast was about backpacking, and then we got into geopolitics. But he like knows you like are. I
don't know much.
You
I don't know much.
you know more, I'd say, than the average person because of your military background. So it's a fair topic of conversation. All right, everybody, Mark, sir, thank you for joining us.
Yeah, thank you.
having
Keep us posted on what happens career wise, or if you decide to go off and do the AT in 90 days. Let us know, man.
Sounds good.
Other than that, anything else?
No.
All right. Bye, everybody.
Bye.
See you guys.
Oh.